You're watching Citgo's Preakness Week coverage on ESPN.
Welcome to Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore on the day before the Preakness. Traditionally, Friday has been Ladies' Day, highlighted by the running of the Black-Eyed Susan. But today, the 3-year-old fillies will share the billing with top older horses, like Gulfstream Park Handicap winner Heroes Tribute and Mineshaft, coming off a 9-length romp at Keeneland. They'll meet in the Pimlico Special, a race that dates back to the 1930s. Its roster of winners is adorned with names like War Admiral, fellow Triple Crown winner Citation, and Seabiscuit, who prevailed in the famous match race in 1938. The modern version has seen victories by Kentucky Derby winners like Strike the Gold, and Real Quiet, who found continuing racing success here at Pimlico a year after winning the Preakness. The past runnings have also showcased fan favorites like the incomparable Cigar in the midst of his perfect 1995. Today, the Pimlico Special joins the Black-Eyed Susan to make a fantastic Friday in Baltimore. And welcome, sports fans. Baltimore, Maryland, Pimlico, the site of the 128th running of the Preakness Stakes. Today, the Black-Eyed Susan and the Pimlico Special here on ESPN. It's raining, it's cold, but they're racing, darn it. Black-Eyed Susan animals are going in circles there in the interior paddock. Funny Side has hit the track. More on that later. The Kentucky Derby winner has arrived just a little bit early, even though it is sort of a little bit late. So we got two good live races for you here on ESPN. The Black-Eyed Susan 79th running of that is coming up real soon. Then the Pimlico Special, a race with great history. More on that. It even involves Seabiscuit. We'll get another plug in on that movie. Randy Moss is along as usual for this. He'll be here with us all day. In fact, Randy never does miss a horse racing show on ESPN. The Black-Eyed Susan coming up very soon. It's a grade 2 at 1 1/8 miles. $200,000 at stake in this one. The track is sloppy. They always ask, what effect does it have? Who benefits most when it's a rainy, sloppy day? Truly, it's those who don't come to the track, actually. No, it's been a good racing, though. We've had some very good races on ESPN2 leading to it. And Randy, the 3-year-old filly division is sort of wide open. There have been injuries. There have been upsets. How could they get this thing, some conformity so we could evaluate it better?
Well, at the beginning of the year, it was clear that Storm Flag Flying was the best 3-year-old filly in the country. And then she makes her debut in New York about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she loses and runs a pretty dull effort. Then it looked like L.O. Love in the Kentucky Oaks was going to be the solid horse coming off that big win in the Ashland. And then the pace is fast in the Kentucky Oaks, and she loses. Birdtown wins the Kentucky Oaks. So really, the 3-year-old filly picture is in sort of flux right now. But we've got a contender for top 3-year-old filly running in the Black-Eyed Susan today.
Well, you've been an advocate for actually having a Triple Crown to match what the boys do, or the boys and girls in the Triple Crown.
I think it's a perfect setup. The Black-Eyed Susan used to be one of the most prestigious races for 3-year-old fillies in the country. It's kind of fallen off since then. But still, you've got the Kentucky Oaks the day before the Kentucky Derby, the Black-Eyed Susan the day before the Preakness, the Acorn Stakes the day before the Belmont. I know the Acorn is a 1-turn mile, but to me that doesn't matter. If you hooked up a bonus for those 3 races, a meaningful bonus, a couple of $1 million, I think that would really be a shot in the arm for those races, and would be nice for us to have a Triple Crown for 3-year-old fillies on TV.
All right, well, with that, we will have a Triple Crown for the fillies this year. We're instituting it right now. Let's meet the field anyway. All sorts of scratches all day long, both for those who are coming off the turf on the dirt and just general scratches. Austin Mom's out of here. Roar Emotion, one that's on the rise, is 3-1 there. Ivana Vinalot, good value there at 4-1, Randy.
And we have a very speed-favoring sloppy racetrack so far today, and both Roar Emotion and Ivana Vinalot have, if not front-running speed, then tactical speed. And the filly that I mentioned that was in contention as the best 3-year-old filly of the year, there she is, number 8, Santa Catarina, and the bettors have caught on to that as well. She's trained by Bob Baffert, ridden by Gary Stevens right now. She's the 4-5 favorite.
And there she is, Santa Catarina. Gary Stevens will be up on that real soon. Bob Baffert, the trainer, and the Kentucky Oaks. Let's look at that right now and see how she ran in there, Randy.
She made a huge move around the second turn, and at this point, coming to the top of the stretch in the Kentucky Oaks, it was just a matter of how far she was going to win by. Just look at her blow by those horses, and those are some pretty nice horses she's running up against. On the rail, that's L.O. Love, who was going to fight back. But the problem with this was that Santa Catarina was making only her second start of the year, and in her first start at Santa Anita, it was such an easy win that she didn't really get anything out of it. She didn't really have to dig in deep. So at 1 1/8 in the Kentucky Oaks, I think she came up just a bit short. She still finished second. She dug in nicely there as Birdtown goes by to get second place, beating 3 1/4 lengths. To me, I think it's a kind of effort that suggests that she's got a lot more in the tank with that under her girth, so to speak, under her belt, and that she could show a lot of improvement in the Black Eyed Susan.
One quick note, Ryan Fogelsanger, who was to ride Grace Bay in this race and will ride Cherokee's Boy, hopefully, in the Preakness tomorrow, injured Thursday, took off all his mounts. He's replaced in this race. All right, Hank Goldberg always has some useful betting information. Hank, what do you have down there?
Randy, or should I call you Annika Sorenstam, Breath? Hopefully you'll next be advocating equal pay. I think it's just great. This is a rail favoring track as much as it's been a speed favoring track, as you saw Pat Day come on the inside last race. The bettors are wise to it, as the inside horse is at 3-1, Roar Motion. Ivana Vinalot is also getting money, deservedly so. Those two will go out there. But if Santa Catarina is going to come from off the pace to win, I think she better be on the inside, because that's where they're all winning from today, guys.
All right, Hank, coming to you all show long. If we confuse you or bother you in any way, there's always Preakness.com, the official website of the 128th Preakness. You can get a computer, log on, Preakness.com, do that often. We're coming right back. The Black Eyed Susan is coming up very soon on ESPN. Santa Catarina is the big favorite. We'll roll the race in just a few minutes. Stay with us.
This ESPN presentation of the Black Eyed Susan is brought to you by Citgo. We know you. By Visa, proud sponsor of the Visa Triple Crown. By Long John Silver's, dive into something new. By Kawasaki All-Terrain and Utility Vehicles. Kawasaki, let the good times roll. By Plateau Herbicide from BASF, we make Bermuda grass hay better. And by The Greatest Game. To learn more about thoroughbred ownership, log on to thegreatestgame.com.
Welcome back to Baltimore. Pimlico in the 79th running of the Black Eyed Susan Stakes. They are nearing the post for this and checking out Roar Emotion, Randy. This one's kind of on the rise.
And she's the co-second betting choice right now behind the favorite Santa Catarina right now. She is 7-2. Roar Emotion won 1 1/8 stakes race this distance. The Demoiselle last November at Aqueduct. In her first start of this year, she was a big heavy favorite in a race in New York, and she was beaten. She finished second, beaten 4.5 lengths. But the filly that beat her that day, a horse called Cyber Secret, is the filly that came back to beat Storm Flag Flying the very next time she ran. And the trainer, Carlos Martin, was not disappointed that she lost that day, even though she was an odds-on favorite. She said that Roar Emotion, Roar Emotion should move up 5 lengths in her next start. So maybe Santa Catarina is not the only horse we should look for improvement.
They have special head-to-head betting going today. Roar Emotion paired with Ivana Vinalot, and Janine has an opinion on that.
Well, Kenny, trainer Kathleen O'Connell is based at Calder Racecourse, and she's a very, very successful trainer down there, and very rarely does she take horses out of town. But when she does take them out of town, you better pay attention to them, and especially if they are this filly, Ivana Vinalot. She won 5 of her 6 starts last year and nearly $420,000. However, her last race was something Kathleen O'Connell would like to forget. It was the Grade 1 Ashland Stakes, April 5th at Keeneland. There she is. She's breaking from post 4, and this is a filly with a ton of early speed. She breaks from the gate under Mark Guidry. She gets kind of sandwiched there. You can see him go up in the saddle, and she gets bumped actually twice leaving the gate, and already she is 2-3 jumps behind the front runners. And for a horse that's used to running on or near the lead, sometimes you take them out of their game and they are totally disoriented, totally distracted, and they just don't run their race. And that is what happened to Ivana Vinalot. And Mark Guidry said that she got bumped so hard on the side there coming away from the gate, they actually thought the filly may have grabbed a quarter, grabbed her front heel with her hind hoof. And so he just kind of wrapped up on her. So we're looking for a big improvement from Ivana Vinalot, who actually broke her maiden in the mud.
All right, Hank, enough of these 3-1s and 5-2s. Give us something that's going to pay for dinner.
Well, you know me, don't you, Kenny? There's a horse called Grace Bay in here, and she should be a pretty good price. Just look at her last race, winning on the mud on this very racetrack in a stakes race. And she might pick up a piece here. So while Santa Catarina is the horse to beat, don't leave Grace Bay out.
Well, make your wagers early. There's no time till post. Grace Bay, of course, is the one Folgosong was supposed to be on. Ramon Dominguez is the new jockey on that. Randy, you still see this, though, as Santa Catarina's race?
Yeah, I mean, she's the 4-5 favorite, and I don't think she's a false favorite, but I don't think, for example, that she's got a huge edge over a horse like Ivana Venelot, who has been tested against top competition throughout her career. Santa Catarina, though, she ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies last year, so she's been at the top level. She finished a distant third behind Stormflag Flying and Composure. Composure was her stablemate, supposed to be Bob Baffert's best 3-year-old filly, but she was injured and retired in March, and now Santa Catarina is his main hope. I think she'll run very well. She can't get too far behind, though, as Hank alluded to earlier, because this has been a speed-favoring racetrack, and she has never been on a sloppy track before, so we don't know how she's going to react to all that stuff getting kicked up in her
And
foot.
it's been a favoring racetrack today. Didn't we see early in the card several in a row, and then just 2 races ago the same thing?
It has been, yes.
All right, just starting to approach, entering the gate.
I think you can expect, and the pace is kind of a tough call here, but Roar Emotion typically shows speed. Ivana Venelot will usually show some speed. And Santa Catarina shouldn't be too far back either. I think those are probably the 3 to watch for during the first part of the race. Maybe Blushing Valleys can show some as well. But I'm not expecting the pace to be especially a fast one here.
Santa Catarina, the key is how close it was to winning in the Kentucky Oaks, which would have started the roll, and what you were pointing for it having this little Triple Crown between the fillies.
And she's not typically as far behind as she was in the Kentucky Oaks. She was 6.5 lengths behind at the first call that day, but before that she showed some excellent tactical speed, and her jockey Gary Stevens has won this race 3 times, so he certainly knows how to do it here.
Head to head, then let's play it, even though they don't offer it. I'll take Ivana Venelot over your Santa Catarina.
Oh, really? Okay.
Dave Rodman's going to make the call. Randy didn't even agree to the bet, but he's in.
Furcroft. One back, and it's Extra Heart. Long shot, 40-1. Extra Heart. And they're off to a perfect break. Santa Catarina wasting no time. Ivana Venelot came away cleanly this afternoon, and Roar Emotion has early speed to take a short lead. Long shot Blushing Valleys is right up close. Let's Just Do It, followed by Grace Bay. And we go back to Faircroft and trailing the field. Extra Hard in the back of the pack, and some 8 lengths off the lead. So around the clubhouse turn, Roar Emotion and John Velasquez in charge of the fractions out there. Ivana Venelot, Blushing Valleys is in third. And Santa Catarina under the firm grasp of Gary Stevens running along in fourth. Let's Just Do It getting some early urging here. Racing 5th and 4.5 lengths in the front. Grace Bay is rating along nicely at the 6 furlong mark. Another 2, and Faircroft is 1 beaten. That's Extra Heart still at the tail of the field and 8 lengths in the front. On toward the 5-ace pole. Roar Emotion, pace not really that fast out there, leading it by 1.5 lengths. Ivana Venelot, Blushing Valleys is at the rail to claim second. Santa Catarina has been on the outside much of the trip, and Santa Catarina is cantering right along. Santa Catarina is coming with the run now. Has passed Ivana Venelot, is getting to Roar Emotion with a half-mile left to go. So it's Roar Emotion. Santa Catarina right there on the outside to Challenger. They move away from Ivana Venelot, who struggles along in third. It's Blushing Valleys fourth. Grace Bay is 6 lengths to come. The others have running to do. Faircroft, Let's Just Do It at Extra Hard. Midway on the turn, Roar Emotion still there. Santa Catarina now asked for all by Stevens, but it's Roar Emotion and John Velasquez passing the quarter pole. Santa Catarina's right after her in second. Ivana Venelot is dropping back in third, and they're into the stretch. Roar Emotion pulls away and turns back. Santa Catarina with 1 furlong to go. Roar Emotion making a big impression here and opening up on the inside. Coming on for second is Faircroft. Faircroft is rolling. Faircroft on the inside. Roar Emotion's got a hold for another 16th of a mile. She's got the will to win. Roar Emotion holds on to win the Black-Eyed Susan. Faircroft was second. Santa Catarina followed by Ivana Venelot. Then Extra Hard in Grace Bay and Blushing Valleys, and Let's Just Do It.
So Roar Emotion not only wins the Black-Eyed Susan, also wins that crazy little bet against Ivana Venelot, but that one matters less here. A $200,000 purse in this race, grade 2, and that's a big win on a horse that just keeps on improving.
She's obviously a nice horse. She's shown she could win at the 1.125 distance before. I think the key to it was the fact that she was able to set, at least the first part of the race, an uncontested early lead in moderate fractions. 47 and change for the half mile, 112 and 1 for the first 6 furlongs of this race, and this is a pretty nice filly. The first part of the card today on the sloppy racetrack at Pimlico, speed was absolutely dominant, and even when Santa Catarina rolled up to her around the turn, just as she did in the Kentucky Oaks when she made that big move coming to the top of the stretch, you still knew that Roar Emotion was going to have something left, but quite frankly, I don't think many of us thought that she'd be able to kick clear from Santa Santa Catarina like she did.
And in fact, Santa Catarina even dropped back further, can even barely hang on for third place.
Nice effort for Furcroft. I know her trainer, Rusty Arnold, had been a little confused by her 2 most recent races in which she lost by a combined total of 31 lengths, but now she's back with a good effort as well.
Do we have the jockey, John Velasquez?
Thank you.
Congratulations on the win.
Almost there, trying to put it back on.
No.
Shot.
Well, we heard that unintended. I'm not sure if all that was to make air. We're going to come right back. We're going to see this race again and talk more about the Black Eyed Susans, won by Roar Emotion. John Velasquez getting the win there in the Black Eyed Susan. We're coming right back from Pimlico.
Behind me is the winning post here at Flemington Racecourse. There was a jockey in the 1930s who never once arrived here in first place. In fact, he never arrived here at all. Les Boots rode in 39 jumps races and fell 40 times. One time he fell, remounted and fell again at the very next jump. Because he was always falling, Les was given the nickname Autumn Leaves. I'm Nicole Stevenson. Now let's take a look at tonight's viewing on ESPN.
Welcome back to Pimlico, side of the Preakness and site of the Black Eyed Susan Stakes, which you just saw here on ESPN, won by Roar Emotion. It's all presented by Visa. There's your winner. Second Black Eyed Susan Stakes victory for John Velasquez. This was the second slowest Black Eyed Susan time since it went to 1.8 miles back in 1989. Third win in 5 starts now for Roar Emotion.
Owner Joseph Allen of Greenwich, Connecticut's own stakes horses. There he's got the shank for 30 years or so. He owned a horse called Slough City Slough, and let's take a look at how his filly Roar Emotion did it. And it was pretty much done as you saw in wire-to-wire fashion as Velasquez kicked her clear. The break wasn't really all that sharp for Roar Emotion, but then by the time they go a 16th of a mile, her natural speed takes her to the lead. She outruns Ivana Venelot, who's 3 horses out. You see Santa Catarina, 4 horses out, tucking in. And when a horse has a lead like that, Roar Emotion on a speed favoring sloppy racetrack, and she's a good filly to begin with, it becomes a little more difficult to beat her. And you can see there Roar Emotion has about a 3.5 length lead at that point. Furcroft gaining with Pat Day down along the inside, but Roar Emotion manages to hold on.
Santa Catarina certainly looked like she was going to get to her on the turn, but as you said, Roar Emotion had so much save, not having to press it early. Roar Emotion paying $880 up front. Furcroft, the long shot, getting in next, and not a lot of money, unless it was huge money on Santa Catarina to show. Hank Goldberg, what do you have down there?
Well, remember I talked about this before the race. Roar Emotion broke on the inside. That's where you wanted to be. And John Velasquez is a great pace rider, but he kept Roar Emotion on the inside the entire way. And when Santa Catarina came up the middle of the track, she couldn't go by her because that was not the place to be on this racetrack. So a great ride by Velasquez, having that winner in the right place. Janine?
Well, I'm here with winning trainer Carlos Martin and winning jockey John Velasquez. And Carlos is a third-generation horseman. Both his grandfather and his father were trainers. They've trained champions. So you have a long history of learning from 2 very talented horsemen. And when you get a filly like this, how does that come into play? What did they teach you?
A lot of patience. They always told me to be very patient with good horses and try to do the right thing.
And you gave this filly some time off. She's lightly raced. Why was her debut so late in the season last year, and why is she so lightly raced?
Mr. Mera, who bought the filly from Whitehall Lane Farm, who does a great job buying horses every year, one of our old-time clients, brought the filly in, and she was so big and just needed some time to mature, just baby stuff. So we just took our time with her and got her going, and the rest has been history so far.
You think we've seen the best of her?
No, I think she's going to get better and better.
Congratulations on a great training job. Well, John Velasquez rode this very talented filly right from the get-go. Out of the gate, she had her running shoes on.
I worked out really good, and I had put position 1. Needed to come out of there running. She came out running. They came to her on the backside and battled a little bit, and I got to put them away. And she ran really good. She ran a very gusty race.
What was the racetrack like? Because I know a lot of the riders were staying kind of far off the rail. So where did you find was the best place to be?
Well, to tell you the truth, the rain stopped, and the track has been pretty tight all the way around now. Right now, they had it pretty tight, so it's pretty good. I was just kind of playing the ground against the other horses, so I was kind of playing the inside and out all the way around the racetrack, and it worked out good for me.
Okay, well, another talented filly you ride. I know things didn't work out for you on Summer Colony in the race prior, but it looks like you've got another one to ride now. Roar Emotion looks like a filly with a very bright future. Kenny?
All right, thanks, Janine. We look at the final order of finish, the full order of finish. So, Randy, one win like this, does this put her right in there? When we talked about at the beginning, the field in the 3-year-old division was real mixed up.
Yeah, because it's so wide open right now. I think it does, along with Birdtown, the winner of the Kentucky Oaks. You certainly have to give Roar Emotion some credit. And even though Santa Catarina is a daughter of Unbridled, and you would think that just screams distance, 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 it looks to me like she may not want to run a mile and an eighth.
Well, we're going to come back. We got more live racing coming here from Pimlico. Stay with us. The Pimlico Specials up soon, plus news on the Preakness. That's right after this.
This presentation of the National Thoroughbred Racing Association continues on ESPN.
Back here at Pimlico. Reminder, ESPN2, 6 o'clock Eastern tonight, handicapping the Preakness. Then Saturday, all day long, ESPN and ESPN2, all the lead-up races to the 128th running of the Preakness. And the good news is, for that running, the Kentucky Derby winner is here. Funny side, there'd been so much speculation, well, forgetting the old speculation about the arrival. And the last report was 1 or 2 in the morning, Saturday day of race. Turns out kind of snuck in the back door and barned on the other side.
Why is it that people like to speculate so much about things that don't make any difference? I don't understand that. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of times a day at racetracks all around the country, horses come in the day before, the day of a race, van in from across town, van in from 3 or 4 hours away, run their race. Nobody knows about it. They don't publish that sort of thing in the program when the horses get in, when they don't get in. Then they put them in the van and take them right back home to the farm at night. Michael Dickinson's made a living out of doing that. Wayne Lucas used to do it off the airplane. They called it D. Wayne off the plane. It didn't make any difference at all.
Well, they absolutely did do it in a distinctly secretive way when they went to the opposite side, though, instead of the stakes barn here. So wanting some privacy, apparently, as they go forward. The early betting goes something like this. Scrimshaw and Senior Swinger, that's the pairing of Baffert and Lucas, 7-2. And this, of course, as you noted on the earlier show, don't trust these odds right now, correct?
This is just kind of fun. It's just kind of a curiosity to see how the people are betting right now. And Peace Rules, and we've talked about how it was almost a toss-up as to who would be the favorite between Peace Rules and Funny Side. Well, right now you see Peace Rules is early solid favorite.
10 cents a shine might have been worth taking a shot, but maybe not at 4-1. Hank Goldberg, what do you think of all this?
Well, first of all, Barclay Tagg at 8 o'clock this morning decided to make the trip this morning because he saw the weather down here and didn't want to take any chances. So they left Belmont at 9 o'clock. Barclay was upstairs with the media earlier. He said that the horse is doing great. He came out of the Derby great. He's training great. He has no excuses, but somebody threw a stat at him that horses breaking out from the 8 post out at this meet is something like 1 for 50. So I think the horse should be a little more concerned about his post position than when he arrived.
All right, Hank, earlier we mentioned all the great racing going on ESPN, ESPN2. By the way, there's a thing called the Preakness Stakes. That's going to be on starting at 5 o'clock Eastern. That is Saturday on NBC. Well, they tried to recreate the old War Admiral and Seabiscuit match race from 1938, which was in the Pimlico Special, same race we're about to show you real soon. The movie had more cameras and more horses involved, and they maybe did it more dramatically. Let's see how they put it together for the movie that's coming out in July.
Kind of small, isn't he? Gonna look a lot smaller in a second, Georgie.
There were 2 great quests of Seabiscuit's career. One was to win the Santa Anita Handicap, and the other was to conquer War Admiral.
Bring him in together, get ready.
The match race is a hugely famous climax of these 2 nemesis squaring off, Seabiscuit and War Admiral. And the thing about the match race that's so compelling on film is that there are only 2 horses.
This isn't the finish line, my friends. The future's the finish line, and Seabiscuit is just the horse to get us there.
The feeling that you get when a horse is driving down the home stretch, it's just unbelievable.
What do you think finally turned this horse around?
Well, I think we just gave him a chance. Sometimes all somebody needs is a second chance. I think there are a lot of people out there who know just what I'm talking about.
They came along at the bottom of the Depression, and people were desperate for underdog heroes.
Don't stop, boy. Don't ever stop.
That was a good race in 1938, and it's a good race today. $600,000 guaranteed in the line. It's a Grade 1, a race that was revived, dropped for a while, then revived, picked up again in 1988. So they're going 1 mile and 3/16, same exact distance as they'll be running tomorrow in the Preakness. Track remains quite sloppy.
And they actually didn't run the Pimlico Special last year for financial reasons. They decided to pull the plug on it, but luckily for us, they brought it back for the very first time the day before the Preakness.
Oh, let's meet the field then. We got Puzzlement from the inside. Not often that you're going to see Jerry Bailey on a 12-to-1 horse. We're going to show you the field real soon, but Jerry Bailey, no matter what he's on, and it's very similar to 10 cents a shine, the betting we saw earlier on the Preakness, you can see those odds being driven down.
And in the case of Puzzlement, you not only get Jerry Bailey, but you get Alan Jerkins, the Hall of Fame trainer, who actually won a couple of stakes races last week, so he's still going strong at age 70-something, and Puzzlement will be a horse that'll be rallying from off the pace. That might not help him today, though.
Well, they had a grand plan to saddle the animals across the way, but Janine is where they are right now as they put the horses in order. Well, no, instead of that, you want to meet the animals individually and find out what the betting is. Mineshaft is one who's never been in a Grade 1, but has done so many nice things, and that's why it's being supported at 3-2.
Mineshaft right now, along with Medaglia d'Oro, is the hottest older horse around. Those two right now are the hottest older horses. Western Pride also getting a lot of action here at 7-2, primarily because he is a front runner and a darned good one on a speed favoring racetrack. And Heroes Tribute is a horse that's doing very well right now, and he's 4-1.
As I was saying, they had a grand plan to have the paddock area move to a different site as they do for the Preakness, but instead they're inside the interior, and that's where Janine is.
Well, Kenny, the grand plan was something that happens here at Pimlico only 2 times a year. The horses usually saddle out on the turf course. It's very ceremonial. It's a very traditional thing. The horses saddle on the turf course for the Pimlico Special and the Preakness every year. Well, due to the inclement weather today, it's cold, it's nasty, it's windy. The turf course is very soggy, no races on the grass, that they decided to go ahead and saddle everybody inside so that 9 horses are down below in the indoor paddock, and we're taking a look now at number 7, Heroes Tribute for John Ward. You guys mentioned a little earlier. Very, very nice 3-year-old. Did not run any Triple Crown races, but he has also turned into now a very nice 5-year-old coming off that runaway win in the Gulfstream Park Handicap, and he is a classy individual. Number 8, Western Pride, caught my eye as he was walking into the paddock. He's a little bit antsy there, but as he came by us on the track here, he did not like the mud touching his back legs, and he was kind of doing a little jiggy dance out on the track and then started bucking Handful, big strapping, good-looking horse, but was giving his groom a little bit of trouble coming down the track and into the paddock. But it looks like everybody behaving very, very nicely, and at least they are warm and dry, as are their connections, which is a lot more than they would be if they were out on the grass course saddling, and I'm sure their feet would be pretty soggy. And so along the lines of Western Pride, let's take a look at his last race, because it's quite interesting. This horse had a 1-year layoff, and then he got back in the thick of things for his trainer, Jim Chapman. This horse is partly owned by Jim's mother, Carolyn Chapman, and after a 1-year layoff in the San Bernardino last time out, Western Pride sat just off the pace, and he reeled them in to win in a very, very gallant effort here as he holds off the late closers there in a very, very impressive effort under Pat Valenzuela, who rides him once again today. So we'll see. Will this horse bounce off that big effort, or will he be ready for 2 big ones in a row? Kenny, we'll find out.
Well, they've come onto the track now. I think the jockeys would prefer that they just sprint straight over to the gate, but they are rolling through right now. Puzzlement's already out on the track. Like I said, the longest odds you're generally going to see on the Jerry Bailey one. And in fact, I think they will come down. They have. They started at 12. He's just down about 9-1. So Puzzlement's from the inside.
This is not only a wet day, it is also a cold day. We can see our breath right now, so I think your comment about the jockeys having rather stay inside for a while, or they may sprint right to the gates right on target.
Balto Star is the 2.